Fitin10 Nation, welcome to day 33. And Martina, we are into week 5 now, which is, well, we're almost at the halfway point. So this is kind of crazy.
It goes so fast.
It goes by super fast. With that being said, this is a reminder to all of our current participants. This is a week that you are not going to quit. And I say this, Martina, because we don't often get a lot of people that will drop out, but sometimes we do get the odd person that just kind of, well, dwindles away.
Yeah, and I'm actually really surprised about that because in my own experience, I haven't done super well up until now, but I'm actually really pumped at the idea of making up ground with everything that I've learned from my previous failures. I was supposed to lose a certain amount of body fat. I did not, and I want to catch up.
All right, so let's just actually speak about that just right now, because this is the one reason why we do multiple readings. There's several reasons why we do multiple readings in the challenge. But one of them is it is just one reading, and it's more about the average of readings over time.
Seeing the number not move for me was a real kind of like a wake-up call that said, hey, did you manage your food properly and 100% as it was asked from you? And the answer is no. I ate a lot of processed food because I did not pre-prepare my planning. I did it pretty much at the last minute every single day and then some. I didn't do that, right? And then in terms of cardio, I was pretty lax. I didn't pre-plan my cardios either.
But hold on here. So I'm sorry to cut you off, but so are you saying that you didn't do all your cardios last week?
Well, it's up to interpretation.
Okay. All right. So we'll take that as a yes then.
Well,
okay.
no.
Now hold on.
Oh.
And when it came to food, what are you saying? Are you saying that you were not within your macros on a daily basis?
I was exactly within my macros on a daily basis. Okay. But I did not eat, good sources of protein. I did not eat.
What are not good sources of protein?
Well,
this is important to ask.
Yeah, like I said, I ate a lot of packaged foods, right? So I ate pre-mixed protein pancakes, for example. That's like one of my staples.
Oh, like Kodiak?
I really like it.
Kodiak?
Yeah, that's one of them, and I eat also the Flourish one, which is a different one. But it really does not do me as well as having whole protein that I have cooked myself, and then vegetables and having fruit, and I didn't feel as good, and then my sleep was just not great. And like I said, my reporting was, I'm not even sure if my reporting was as accurate as it could have been because I did it after the fact. Instead of doing it ahead of time. So, but that's just like the food portion of it. When I was talking about cardio, for example, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I feel like, I ride my bike certain places and everything. And it's not like I take my 30 minutes of riding my bike this way to hold for cardio. But for example, one of my ride is all up a hill for 45 minutes. And then I'm like, what? I didn't do my cardio. Let's just consider that like my cardio. Stop looking at me like that, Mark. Well, anyway, so I just kind of I was like, I'm just going to use it as cardio. And then, at the end of the day, I'm like, have I even done anything right in the past 2 weeks? And the answer is, I don't feel like I did.
Yeah. Okay. So you're basically saying there's areas of improvement now.
Tons.
Yeah. And so, and just coming back to this aspect, for example, of eating, let's say there's a mix called Kodiak mix, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Pancake mix. Yeah.
Okay. So whenever you have foods like this, there's always obviously going to be, as there's going to be some level of error in terms of the macronutrients. And this is where there is an advantage to eating single ingredient foods, fruits, vegetables, tubers, meats, etc., because they are going to be what they are. There's not going to be that fluctuation or that potential error in terms of macronutrients because they're not they're not man formulated, right? So we're not going to see that. So this is, again, I really want to stress, and the majority of your food is real whole food.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
let's say if I was to put a percentage to it, anywhere between 70 to 90% is yes. And then on good days, it's more than 90%. But because if I wanted to have a pancake, I just make it myself, and then I know what's inside.
Yeah.
Which I didn't. But so anyway, lots of it, that's what I meant by lots of ways that I could have done better, and that I'm going to try to work on, because once again, it's Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'm still behind.
Well, I will speak on your behalf, and I know that your numbers have not been 100% in terms of what the scale is reading you as. And in addition to what you're doing is maybe not 100%, but we also have been doing bi-weekly photos. and there are some huge changes.
Yes.
Huge changes.
Those are great.
So, this is something I really encourage people to do. It's not mandatory in our challenge at all, but I really encourage people to do, at the very least, before and afters. But if you can do them every 2 weeks, this is where you can really see some good change.
Indeed, yeah. I was really shocked. I mean, I remember you asked me about the pictures, and I was like, maybe I'm not going to do them this time because I was a little bit bummed with my numbers. I was like, I don't want to show people a reversal of my progress, so...
Remember, nothing is done in vain.
That's right. You keep saying that. I have
Nothing.
to have you in my head. I did, I moved a lot. I did a lot of cardio, not the one that were prescribed, but as my natural need, right? Or going from places to places. I ate within my macros the entire 2 weeks, not failing ever, within the 10%. So yeah, but despite all the effort that I think I put in there, the numbers really got me a little bit,
Yeah. If there is change, okay, if you have created change, and enough of it obviously, not to 2% change, if you create change, you're going to see however much change you create is the amount of change you should see.
Yep.
So it's all about relative change. So, if you came into this challenge, for example, and you've heard me say this before in videos, if you came into this challenge doing exactly what I had you do, you're not really going to, and you've been doing that for a long time, you're probably not going to see any change. So it's all just relative to what you're doing, right? And so this is where, and we won't go down this rabbit hole right now, but this is another reason why you want to sort of ebb and flow your exercise and your calories over time, because you can't just keep working at a maximal percentage, pedal to the metal all the time. You've got to ebb and flow. You've got to gain a little bit, and then you got to lose more. But it's all about over time. When we look past this 10 weeks, it's all about taking 10 steps forward and then maybe 2 steps back, and then 10 steps forward and then 2 steps back. That type of thing. That was certainly not in our plan to have that little escapade there. But anyways, let's move on. Martina, I wanted just to mention one thing here related to last video. In regards to bone density, one other supplement you can take that's very, very helpful, which I completely forgot about, was boron. And it's a supplement you don't often hear about, but it plays a vital role in terms of helping to get magnesium and calcium absorbed into the bone. So,
right. And where can you find those?
Well, you can buy a supplement, but if you're looking at food, probably the best source that I know of is of all things prunes. But typically you're going to find this in plant life,
right?
Generally speaking.
Okay.
I think you can find it in some dairy as well, but
right. So eat your vegetables.
Yeah, well, in this case, when it's prunes, it's fruit.
Yeah, and it's actually really good. I like it. I know you've never had it, so.
And one other thing I want to talk about here, Martina, is because this comes back. Well, we see two sides to this question, but it is raising heart rate. How to raise heart rate? I can't raise heart rate, and really the key behind this is to be able to create enough resistance, which is why I'm a huge fan of the spin bike, because you can just crank up the resistance.
Well, except that then if you're somebody like me who's lazy, then you don't want to do it, and then therefore you don't get anything out of it. Which is the reason why I like the treadmill, because I don't get a lot of choices.
Yeah, but even with the treadmill, you're going to have to raise.
No, I understand what you're saying, but you know what I mean? It makes you go faster, whereas the bike, you got to
I see, you got to push
yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you want to talk about.
This is actually a really good point. So one thing that you really need to focus on if you're trying to raise your heart rate is to force the output of energy, and that's not just about moving quick. Now, if you're moving quick on your feet, then obviously you can get your heart rate up because you got to move your body weight. But if we just think about moving, let's say you're going to curl, a 1 pound weight. That's not going to require very much energy because you're not moving a lot of resistance. So it has to be resistance. I mean, if we look at the definition of work in physics, okay, work is basically force times distance. So we need that. We're creating distance by movement, but we need that force production as well, right? So we need the intensity to be there. So remember that if you're trying to raise your heart rate, one thing you could do even is strap on some weight, like a weighted vest when you go walking, or on a treadmill with a weighted vest or something. The point here is that you've got to create more resistance. This is why things like burpees and jumps and stuff, they can really elevate your heart rate, is because you're lifting your body up and down. This is why if you do a heavy set of squats for like 5 reps, you think just 5 reps, you're going to take your heart rate to the max. And it's quite.
That's actually a really good idea. I never thought about burpees as a way of doing our cardio.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, especially when it comes to intervals.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
if it's
I'll have to video that. I'm not a fan of burpees.
So always think of that when you're like, if you're having a hard time if you're having a hard time getting your heart rate up, you just need more resistance there.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
Intensity. Put it higher and then go faster.
When I'm on the bike, when I'm on my spin bike and I take it to gear 22 and I stand, my RPMs are not that much. My RPMs are like, I don't know, 80 or 80, somewhere around 80 or 85.
Which is still high.
Right?
Mine is 60.
So I'm not moving that fast, but the resistance is so
Tremendous.
high that it gets my heart rate up.
Yeah.
So if you force your body, if your body has to produce a lot of energy, then it's going to inevitably get your heart rate up.
Indeed.
So
just crank it up.
yeah. And you know, one thing I want to add to that, this is sort of a little bit, it's not off topic, but it's something that my clients always say to me, my personal clients that I work with,
Yep.
when they're lifting heavy weights, and they say, "Oh gosh, I'm really out of shape because, you know, look how high my heart rate is. I'm out of breath."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You just pushed to maximum. It doesn't matter how good of an athlete you are. If you push to maximum,
Your heart rate will go up.
your heart rate's going to go up very high."
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter how, quote, in shape you are. If you push yourself to the limit, your heart rate's going to be maxed out. So that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So, okay, Martina, this has turned out to be actually a longer video than we expected. Let's get to the message of the day.
Which is?
And today's message of the day is, you cannot lose when trying. You cannot lose when trying. So the only way you will lose is if you stop trying. And, you know, this is obviously a message of the day that's very apropos for this week, because, as I mentioned, it is the week where we tend to see, or as history dictates, we might see a couple people kind of peter away.
Let's not do that.
But let's not do that, right? Because the only way you're going to continue to make progress is to keep trying. All right, and sometimes it does require reevaluation of everything that you're doing.
Let's do better.
And let's do better, and that's why we are here. We are here to help you, not to judge you. Right? We don't judge.
No.
There's no judgment happening here. Believe me, I've got my own things I got to work on. So yes, we do. Positive energy, positive vibes. Believe in yourself, for love of God, give some gratitude, and we will talk to you all in a couple days.